Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. I'm Simura here and today I'm gonna talk about my experience with the second beta for Street Fighter 6. When the first one concluded, I had made a video called Street Fighter 6 isn't what you think it is, and in that video I was pretty much just breaking down the game. In this one I will be more talking about my experience with the game so far. I'm gonna be completely honest, when I did the first beta I was more focused on breaking down the game mechanically and just making content, videos and all of that, while for the second one I was much more into just playing. I wanted to play the game as much as possible, and that is what we're gonna talk about today. Let me start first by talking about some of the issues, because there are a couple of things about this game I think it's really good, but I want to start talking about stuff that I didn't like first. And the first one is how the game, the menu system and the fact that you start off with modern controls. When you select a character, or when you try to hop into a game, just like Street Fighter 5, you kind of have to choose a character beforehand, and unfortunately it will be locked on modern controls and all of the characters are set to modern by default. So while I fell for this trap in the first one, this time I knew that I had to go and change it to classic. The issue is the others didn't. So especially on day one, you will run into a ton of players who are on modern controls, and you're always assuming do they intend to be on modern, or is it just that they don't know how to change it? I mean, I think the game have to let you choose. I know it's a very small nitpick, but it's one that you will run into 100%. The second one is also a little bit of a nitpick, and that is the announcer lady in the lobby. There is a player on a win streak. The player win streak have ended. There is a player on a win streak. The player win streak have ended. If you have played the game, if you stayed in any lobby, oh my god, you will hear this over and over and over. And I know it's extremely minuscule and annoying to some, but I think it's something that you need to take a look at. The third issue is something that is a little bit more important, and it affected me specifically. I'm not sure how it did for others, but it's matchmaking. Matchmaking just didn't work for me. I didn't get to play a single ranking match, and I tried it on PC and PS5 this time, because this time around I got the PC code. I couldn't get a single ranking match, and I have heard others say they had to wait up to 30 minutes, while I never just stayed and waited that long, because I'm not playing a beta to wait 30 minutes for a game. I've heard it worked perfectly fine for some. I'm not sure, but I think it's something that needs to be looked at, because yeah, like I said, I didn't get to play ranked whatsoever. Now let's talk about other things that is really powerful and really amazing in this game, and that is the netcode, and I will stand by this. The netcode in Street Fighter 6 is fantastic, it's really good, but I will say I have ran into more spotty connections this time around compared to the first one. In my first beta, I think the netcode was absolutely flawless. Here I will say it's amazing, but I have certainly ran into more connection issues mid-match in this beta compared to the first one. And that pretty much concludes it when I'm talking about the nitpicks and stuff that about the game. Let's now talk about the game mechanics, the characters and all of that. Mechanically, I will say the game still feels really good. I wish it was a little bit faster, I wish the character walk speed and recovery on heavy normals was a little bit faster, although that is something that might be just my personal preference, that I prefer it to be faster, because I've seen a lot of people pretty happy with the current pacing. I mean, it's just a personal preference, I guess, but I would like it to be just a tad bit faster, especially recovery on heavy normals, because I think Street Fighter 5 found a really sweet spot, especially at the final season. Yes, there are outliers like Chun-Li standing heavy punch and all of that, but for the most part, most heavies in Street Fighter 5, you can whiff punish on reaction. Street Fighter 6 I think goes a little bit overboard with that, but that is just my opinion. Overall, I think the game is really solid. Drive Rush still proves to be a really fun mechanic. It's very powerful in the neutral, especially when you combine it with Drive Impact. It's amazing in combos, people are finding more and more to do with it, and it's really cool that people are now also starting to find setups to use with Drive Rush. I've seen some Kimberly footage, and man, that is scary. I will leave a link to a particularly scary Kimberly sequence so that you can take a look at this, because oh my god, that is savage. Now let's talk about the talk of the town, which again is the drive impact. A lot of people, talking about drive impact, and I find it to be much less abrasive this time around. I found myself being able to react to it a lot more, right? So for me, I'm starting to become in the camp of, you know what, I think it's alright. I don't like the fact that you have to constantly be looking out for it, but I'm getting better and better and better at being able to stop it. It have a lot of counters, and yeah, with time you will get the hang of it. Now, another thing that I started to realize when I'm playing, now that I actually played more, is that a lot of people are saying drive impact is too cheap. Like, it's 1 bar and you get to do a ton with it. And while yes, like I see that side of the argument, you also have to take a look at what happens when the opponent counters it. When you initiate a drive counter, if the opponent did a drive counter of your own, you have already lost the first bar, and then you will get punished counter. So you will lose 1.5 bar because you got hit by a punished counter drive impact. So you have already lost 2.5 bar, and if the opponent decided to do a level 3 super combo, that is an additional 1.5 bar. So potentially you could lose 4 bars, 4.5, if they went with a critical art. So yes, when you get punished by drive impact, you're losing a lot more than just the 1 bar. So it's 1 bar to activate, but if you happen to use it wrong, you will lose a lot more than just the 1 bar. So it's something that I feel like people have to keep in mind. Another thing that I'm not sure how to feel about right now is the +4 advantage on block normals when you are in Burnout, because it can get a little bit silly. Especially, for example, moves like Chun-Li's heavy lightning legs, that now turns into a blossom block sequence, which is absurd. Like, Chun-Li can almost like shib you to death once you go Burnout because of how much shib her lightning legs do, and now it's blossom block, so you gotta hold it, and every normal she does will be massively plus. It feels like you got stuck in an infinite, and this applies to a lot of other moves as well. Like, she can just Hazan you, and now you're stuck in this block infinite, right? It can be a little bit crazy. Your options are a lot more limited once you're in Burnout. Now let's talk about characters, because this is something that I've tweeted about. I think that Ryu and Guile are currently the best in this beta. I think Ryu requires the least amount of investment for reward. Like, you don't have to invest that much into Ryu, and he's amazing. Guile is also very strong. His neutral control is very powerful, especially since they changed level 1 supers, so that they aren't projectile invulnerable anymore, because some characters were able to level 1 through his sonic booms, but now you can't really do that. His normals are very powerful, his damage is pretty high. Guile is just a beast. I think Chun-Li is a lot more technical than I give her credit for. One thing I didn't even realize is that you could special cancel out of her like overhead in the Serenity stance, and once I figured it out, that opened a lot of doors for me. Now I realize that on knockdowns she have some wicked 50-50 mix-ups that can lead to some devastating damage. So Chun-Li I think is pretty good. Luke is also I think strong. He's not as abrasive as he was in Street Fighter V, but I think he's still really good, and Luke uses the drive system really well. One of the things that I really like about him is the fact that he kinda have one of the more hit confirmable crouching medium kicks, like into his target combo, and when you happen to hit someone with a punish counter or standing heavy punch, he gets a ton of damage. And just drive rushing into his standing medium punch also is a very good strategy. So I think Luke is fairly powerful. Ken is a character that I'm not able to gauge how good he is, because his offense can be very powerful once it starts, but I found it difficult getting to that point. And I also love the fact that his fireball doesn't knock down, because it allows you to drive rush after it, and you can do more, especially with the OD fireball. OD fireballing with Ken as in drive rushing, if you happen to get the hit, you can do a ton of damage. That is very good with him. Kimberly. Kimberly is the character of the hour. It's a character that people complained about the most by far. Especially if you check out the Twitter verse of the FGC. A lot of people didn't like Kimberly, thinks there's too much. I am in the camp that something's gotta give with her. I think she's not that amazingly powerful, but she's extremely obnoxious to fight. Think of like the worst traits of Bison, Mika, that type of characters combined into one. Because her teleports have that like Bison forward dash from Street Fighter 5, where you will stick out a button but she will go through it. Sometimes that happens, so you kinda like mash jab to stop her. But at the same time, she have like an ability to change her jump arc and fall down. Not really much recovery, and she gets combos on hit, which is pretty powerful. And once you're in the corner, the can setups are devastating, and she have a wicked corner throw situation here. So she is pretty good. Juri is a character I've seen very little of in this one. I don't know why. I've seen very little of Juri on Guile. There's a character that I've almost seen and never seen, and I'm not sure why. Overall, I wish they would have given us more character, although with the cracked beta going around, I don't know. And finally, that leaves Jamie, and I think a lot of people are saying that Jamie is the worst character in the beta, and I have certainly haven't seen anything impressive from Jamie this time around. Not sure if they nerfed him or anything, but I don't know. He seems like he doesn't do enough damage, and it gets wide. Like the more that people are using Drive Rush in the neutral, the harder it is for Jamie to level up his rank level and get his party started. But once he is on level 3 or 4, he is actually very powerful. That is pretty much it for my thoughts so far. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description. Let me know if you have played, what are your thoughts on it. Do you expect that we will see another beta? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.